Old man Cheng spoke. You have heard it said that in order to see original spirit, your puny mind must be empty. So, there you sit, rigid as a bamboo stick, looking at the wall, your tongue against your palate, striving to put a stop to your thoughts. You thus come to an absence of thoughts, which you take for the vacuity of original spirit. The very next moment, the turmoil of your petty mind starts up again, just as it does when you come out of sleep. In the absence of thought, what profit is there? And if a flash of light shakes you, there you go, prancing like a young horse, bellowing that you have seen original spirit, that you have experienced something immense, and that you were greatly privileged. What advantage is there in being struck as by thunder? All of that is a nice performance, just good enough for a circus. Baldies, if you persist in your mania and your pretense at wanting to attain and possess whatever it might be, yours is a lost cause. To see original spirit is to see it whether thoughts are present or absent, whether one is motionless or active, whether one speaks as I am doing before you, or whether one is silent, whether one is an emperor, a monk, or a vagrant. What importance is there in that? Between the Buddha and the uncouth, illiterate monk who can do nothing but chop wood, but who sees original spirit, what difference is there? There is no original spirit special to Bodhidharma and another special to old Cheng or to each one of you. Original spirit is original spirit. Nothing else can be said about it, and even that is saying too much. What others have said concerning original spirit and what I say of it can be of no other use to you than to incite you to directly seek it yourselves, without resorting to any authority and without artfulness. All the rest just blurs your vision and turns you away from the only question which should entirely possess you wherever you might be and whatever you might be doing, meditating, sweeping the yard, or tending to private requirements of nature. But when I see what you do with the sayings of the patriarchs and with mine, it would have been better if the patriarchs had been drowned at birth and me along with them. You dolts have caught a deadly disease. Shaved heads, the world and you are nothing other than thoughts of the individual mind, since both disappear when sleep overtakes you. This is equally true of all the old tattery notions of your puny mind regarding the Buddha, the way, and original spirit. Once and for always, understand the uselessness of all your efforts to penetrate the impenetrable by thought and action. You might as well try to capture the wind. But if you are unencumbered, entirely available to original spirit, then will you be directly seized by it. Having heard this voices of the void as being the supreme accomplishment, you seek to attain it. Thus you fall into the torpor and insensitivity which take you for the vacuity of original spirit. Having heard speak of the absolute as being the ultimate state, you imagine that all things are equal and that none is worthy of respect. Thus you fall into the rakishness and anarchy which you take for the oneness of original spirit. Having heard speak of purity as being complete happiness, you strive to attain it. Thus you fall into a die-hard attitude of rigidity, which you take for the transparency of original spirit. Having heard of detachment as being the only freedom, you try to become separate from the world and from yourselves. Thus you fall into indifference, which you take for the independence of original spirit. Valdes, it is original spirit which is said to be vacuity, oneness, transparency, and independence, and the element of the wheel of existence that you are will never be able to possess any of these faculties. But if you saw original spirit, then you would know that it is your true nature, without any possible qualification, and that in reality no name can be given to it. You would then also know that what we call void, absolute, purity, detachment, and even original spirit are nothing but words which exist from your point of view alone, only because of your blindness and your ignorance. You simpletons, wanting to simulate original spirit spells the end of you. Because you have become monks, followers of the law of the Buddha, and disciples of a famed master, you think you are different from the laymen on whom you look on with condescension. You are as ignorant of original spirit as only the grass of the field can be. You are much engrossed in getting to know who I am, from what parental stock I am issued, who were my masters, where I have come from, what I believe, and many other things equally devoid of interest. Some think that if the master of this abode has asked me to speak to you, I can only be an enlightened one, and others, on the contrary, that they have before them but a scandalous and insolent old fool who would be thrown outside because he has no respect for the saints and men of the past as revered by tradition. Neither has he any respect for the saints and men of the present, exalted by their fame and renown. Thus you hold merely to the envelope and to the appearance of things, and because of this you fail to perceive in you the true man. Fools, you put mud in your eyes and then complain of being blind. And old man Cheng went off with much gesticulating. Old man Cheng returned the next day and spoke thus: Shaven ones, by completely abandoning yourself to the will and whims of another whom you have exalted to the point of relying on him for all things, you imagine your attitude to be just, and thus yourselves to be without concern and without desires. In reality, you merely behave as do very young monkeys, which do not leave their mother for a single moment, desperately clinging to her, so full of fear are they. And in course of time, you become like those dried up trees, which look like the other trees in winter, but which, when spring and summer come, have no leaves and bear no fruit. In such passivity, how can you hope to see original spirit? Smooth pates, you are already dead. Every man is enlightened by original spirit. Some see it, others ignore it. That is the only difference between them. As for you, shaven heads, you are as a drunken man who on the outside of an enclosure clings to the bamboo sticks, shouting that he has been shut in, that he is innocent, and implores to be set free. You dunces, no one but you is holding each of you a prisoner. What a disaster for you. Powerless to see original spirit and thereby to live of yourselves, you conceal your insignificance by wearing the clothing others have cast off. Be they dead or alive, You accumulate viewpoints and cultivate shades of meaning and differences and convergences. Thus you strut about. Because you dazzle fools with your tricks, you take yourselves to be enlightened men. Nitwits, you are but the chatterboxes and cheap jugglers. You have led yourselves astray. Your ill is incurable. You need no one to see the light of the sun. All that others can say on this subject is useless to you. You are in the light. It warms your body, and yet you cannot seize it and put it into a box. All attempts to possess it are doomed beforehand to failure. You can neither catch it nor get rid of it. That has already been said by this old chatterbox and by others before him. Likewise, original spirit. It is ever present, as bright as the light of the sun. You cannot increase it nor diminish it. You dolts cannot see it. This is due to the rubbish you have cluttered up in your heads. You cannot see it because you are taken over by your efforts to trap it in your thoughts, your adorations, and your practices. You imagine it to be afar, and it is here. You want to grab it, and it escapes from you. If you were entirely simple, you would only need to open your eyes to see it, just as you see the light of the sun. No need to intervene for that. He who has seen a grain of sand has seen every grain of sand on every shore and the bed of every sea in the world. If you see original spirit, then you see all of original spirit, and you are a Buddha. I am before you as a resounding piece of wood. There is nothing deserving or important in this, for there has never been a lack of, nor till the end of men will there ever be a lack of beings like old Cheng to resound in the same way. But, nincompoops, it is to your misfortune that you are preoccupied with mere appearances and see here only the block of resounding wood. Because of this, original spirit finds not in you the echo which would suddenly make you realize that you are not and have never been other than it. And old man Cheng retired. The following evening, old man Cheng entered and said, "Shorn skulls, look upon all the patriarchs and all the chatterboxes like me as impostors, since they speak to you of what they can neither show you nor give you. The only usefulness one may perhaps grant them is that they inform us that every being has the nature of the Buddha. But it is for each one of you to seek this by himself, without being led astray by whatever else, so that you may see it in the great flash of reality. Baldies, if you let the words and magic tricks of the patriarchs affect you, then you are lost. Nitwits, in the hope of seeing original spirit, you have accumulated much knowledge inside your little minds, just as rice is heaped upon and stored. Acting thus, you have done nothing but disguise your ignorance with learned words to discuss the true and the untrue, good and evil, the eternal and the ephemeral, heaven and earth, all the subtle and gross elements that compose man, the merits of the various ways and practices, the extent of so-and-so's enlightenment, and a great many useless things, all of which shows your incapacity to find the rightful attitude. Numbskulls, your vice dwells in your arrogant pretense to want to measure the immeasurable. If there be any among you who, while listening to me, are struck by something greater and deeper than my words, and which is not the sort of sanctimonious torpor in which so many take delight, thus imagining they are at one with original spirit, but see it as a simple, clear, and active light. Then, to these I can but indicate the true direction and show them the way. Their own muddy contour will one day break up, all at once drop off. They will see the radiant beauty of the jewel of original spirit. In this matter, I do not personally intervene. I am but a mode of transit for original spirit, whose presence some may feel through me, old Cheng, who am also for others as caked mud round a precious stone. So long as I am asked about original spirit, I can but remain speechless or answer no. As for he who sees original spirit, he has no need of old Cheng. If you were true men, your thoughts and acts would be just, and each moment appropriate to their end or object. But as you are incapable of seeing your Buddha nature, you fill up your ignorance by copying the thoughts, behavior, and acts of those you have put on a pedestal. Your preoccupation in mimicking like monkeys what others think and do, that is the cloud that stops you from seeing original spirit. You dolts, you are naught but thieves and robbers. No hope for you. Valdis, your fundamental nature is no way different from that of the Buddha. You only lack the unambiguous knowing of it, and that alone. That is what you lack, and that is what impels you to seek to become what you have never stopped being. To be clearly an original spirit is the sole meaning of your existence. If you so much as slightly stray from it, you immediately fall into error in the unending swirl of causes and effects. This alone is what old Cheng teaches. And old man Cheng left the room. Old man Cheng declared, "Bare skulls, the thought of original spirit is but the reflection of that spirit in a particular mind, as the image of the moon seen in the water of a pond is but a reflection of the moon. Original spirit remains present, unchanged and unaffected by the tumult of your thoughts and acts, as the moon remains unchanged and unaffected, whether the water in the pond be clear or muddy, calm or agitated, or whether the pond be full or empty. It is only the image of the moon which is changed or absent in such case. There is no moon in the pond. Bald heads, you should understand that with all your inventions of purity to be attained, of detachment and freedom to be obtained, of stopping your thoughts every 3 hours, and all the other practices you perform with a view to seizing upon original spirit, you are scooped up by your own mind like a fish in a net. You act as stupidly as if, in order to directly see the moon, you cleaned the water in the pond, or took away the plants that cover it, built a bamboo fence so that the wind would not disturb the surface of the water, or as if you emptied the pond. Dumbos, just see that you merely allow yourselves to be fettered by your own thoughts and by your pitiable actions. Dunces, it is because of your blindness that old Cheng speaks to you of original spirit and of the individual mind as if he were referring to different things. For old Cheng, original spirit and individual mind, the eternal and the ephemeral, wisdom and ignorance, enlightenment and blindness, nirvana, the sutras, the system of law, all the bodies of transformation, and the Buddha himself are nothing but the whirlwind of thoughts, similar to a lot of dead leaves, which give the impression of being alive when the winter wind lifts them. But the next morning and the next moment, they are dead. Dolts, the true nature of beings and of things is not great for he who sees it. Neither is it small for he who ignores it. It remains unaffected by being known or being unknown, and by all that you thrust upon it. You are free, shaved ones, to go on straying to perdition by way of distinctions, shades of meaning and subtleties. There, I have told all.